out the Sportsline Podcast on the CHCH media platform. I'm Bubba O'Neil. As I say this on the regular, this podcast is a space to highlight the many outstanding athletes, coaches, broadcasters, and executives that hail or got their start in Southern Ontario. Today, the spotlight shines on one of Hamilton's professional sports teams that's on a serious and somewhat unexpected heater.
From the Edmonton 26, 2:20 left to play in this football game. Mitchell looks, fires over the middle. Tim White, touchdown! Touchdown, Cats! He was wide open, makes the catch at the 2, and the Tiger Cats win again, 28-24 against Edmonton.
Well, he is the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats that have won 6 games in a row. Rick Zamperin, of course, the morning man, also here at CHCH. Great to have you in both your roles here that we kind of share.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the Sportsline Podcast once again.
I'll tell you, let's start here. Okay. What is going on with the Hamilton Tiger Cats? 6-2 right now, alone in first place as we look at the standings.
You know, when they were 0-2, I think I and many other Ticats fans thought, okay, here we go again. Here's another season-opening losing streak, and they've had many of these over the last number of years. And I thought, well, is this season going to be just like last year where, you know, they have these expectations and they don't quite reach it for one reason or another? But ever since then, this has been a much different team. And I think a team that has played, we've talked about this on the broadcast so many times, complementary football, where the offense is making great plays, the defense is following up with a big turnover or a stop, the special teams, whether it's a big return or a big field goal or great punting positionally to win that field position battle. One game after another, all these 3 phases of the team have come together more often than not. And they've put together a 6-game heater, which now looking back, thinking, yeah, they had all the tools to do it, but now they're actually doing it.
You know, when I look back to those games, the Calgary and this loss to Saskatchewan, they were in those games.
Yeah.
And a lot of what happened and caused them to lose was very much on their own plate.
Both those games were winnable games, right? They were in it. You know, a turnover or, you know, especially in the first game with Dedrick Mills and the start that he got for Calgary. Both those games were there for the taking. Can you imagine if this team was 8-0? Like, we'd be talking very differently about this team, even though we're talking very glowingly about this team. But, and just like last year, you know, they could have beaten Ottawa early in the season and they didn't. They could have beaten Saskatchewan early on in the season and they didn't. And that what got me to thinking originally that, you know, this is kind of like 2024 all over again. But now they're finding ways to win in extraordinary fashion, whether it's a last-minute touchdown against BC to win the game or, you know, surviving a 1-hour weather delay in Edmonton last week and then playing a great fourth quarter to win that game or winning the turnover battle or scoring 50 points against the Argos. Like, every game is kind of different and kind of similar in the same sense, and they're just playing great football.
The whole thing has been fun. And anytime it's a heater like this, a winning streak like this, which is, you know, up to 6 games right now, which, you know, we haven't seen this in Hamilton, you know, since 2019. And that was a special team that finished with a franchise high 15 victories. But it's been so much fun. And it's been so much fun for the fans. It's fun for the players. You can see it. It's even been fun for the coach and coaches. Yeah. But it's also fun for the broadcasters. And, you know, for many that know you, this is your second incarnation calling. You know, you did it with for almost a decade with Coach Sal, who is a particular kind of broadcaster and is special in his own sense. But you do it right now with a different kind of guy. And I'm very close to you in terms of the broadcast location. And there's a lot of energy that's coming out of that broadcast booth with you and Simone Lawrence. What's that been like?
It's been phenomenal. Like, I knew Simone was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be this good, this fast. So there was a particular point in time last season where I'm in the press box and it's during a Ticats practice and they're preparing for, I don't remember the team that they're preparing for. I think it was actually Saskatchewan. And, you know, we were talking about Trevor Harris and we were talking about the Ticats and what they had to do. And Simone was in the press box with us and I would pepper him with questions such as, you know, how do you manage a game that Trevor Harris is trying to coordinate from a defensive standpoint? And Simone has this innate ability to encapsulate his thoughts quickly and cohesively, and then relay that to, well, at that time was me. And at that point in time, I thought, wow, and this guy has a career in broadcasting because he certainly has the knowledge base, being a perennial all-star, a future Hall of Famer. He might one day be on the Ticats Wall of Honor. I mean, anyone who wasn't a Ticats fan when Simone started out should probably do a little bit of research, because they'll quickly realize how amazing he was.
Amazing.
But he's able to take all that information, this encyclopedia of where to be on the field, what defenses should do, what offenses are trying to do, and even from a special team standpoint, like the knowledge is tremendous, and take all of that and then say, okay, this is how it happened or why it happened. Here's the player that messed up, or he should have done this thing, and this is how they should adjust the next time around. It's extraordinary the way he's able to do it. And to bring the energy with it, and the fun and jocularity, and recapping or relating things that he did in his playing days, or opponents did, or teammates did, and it's just a full circle moment for him in terms of taking what he's learned in this game and sharing it with everyone who's watching or listening.
I think it's amazing when he first started out, and we did a couple of preseason games, and our executive producer Dave Cadeau said, "First things first, I need to get a set of oven mitts for you."
Yes.
Because
for Simone,
yeah, not for yourself. Yeah. Because any positive play he was having, there's a lot of this going on, which I tend to do a lot in my own broadcast booth. But you don't hear me, right? But so they want to take away the clapping. But you know what? You brought something up which I think is so interesting, and I just want to go a little deeper on this, because with my experience working at National Sports Network, I've seen many athletes from different types of sports come in because, one, they may have been really good at what their sport particularly would be. Mm-hmm. Maybe you think they're going to be a good broadcaster, and if you kind of work with them, some of them end up being outstanding broadcasters. Right. Yeah. What I have found is that it's really hard for a lot of these players, especially like Simone, who are fresh out of the sport, when it comes to criticizing. And when I say criticize, I'm not being personal, right, critiquing their play when things don't go right. It's easy when things go right. Yeah. But when things go wrong, but Simone has a real interesting ability to do that without being insulting. This is why I think he would make a great coach as well, because he'll take a particular play and then he'll identify, what happened on the play. And if someone goofed up, whether he's in a Ticats uniform or an Alouettes uniform or whatever the case is, and he'll describe what that player did wrong, or how the opponent took advantage of the deficiency that the defensive player or an offensive player did on a particular play. But he's not doing it in a very personal way. There was one instance in which a Ticats player, made a mistake. And, he basically was coaching up that player to say, hey, next time this happens, you got to do this. And it was almost like he was telling, one of his former teammates that, the next time around, this is what you're going to have to do. And more often than not, that player is actually doing the thing that he has suggested. It's really uncanny, but they're kind of speaking the same language, player on the field and former player now in the broadcast booth. And I just love it's a positive comment, but it comes with a critical nature in terms of this is why this play happened and why the screw up happened on the field. And I love the coaching up factor that he does as well. Yeah, a lot of players are actually afraid to go down that road, but I think you need to be a good analyst, you need to go down that road. And I think he's years ahead of time in doing it the way he's doing it. And you know what? The fans really appreciate that, because whether you're a fan of the Ticats or any team in any sport, you want crew to tell it like it is. And that means to celebrate the wins and then be critical of the losses when they do occur, if there's pieces that you can kind of pick apart. And he has a great ability to do that. I think we owe it to the fans. When things aren't going the way they should be, let's explain why this is happening. And I'm sure the team, whether they're listening or not, they're going to be preparing for the next play, the next game, whatever the case is. One thing you haven't done is a lot of explaining about what are the deficiencies in the Hamilton Tiger Cats offense. It has been, which is a good thing. Which is an unbelievable thing in my opinion. And it all starts with the quarterback who's stirring the drink in Bo Levi Mitchell, where you look at his statistical story through 8 games, and for a 35-year-old, this is more than a renaissance. He's top-notch right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? I look at the age, and I referenced this. I asked him a question a couple of weeks ago, and I said, listen, you're 35 now. You're on the wrong side of 30. You're on, supposedly, in sports terms, on the decline, right? Whenever you're post 30 years of age, you're not in your peak physical form or the prime of your career. That's usually about, 26 to 30-ish is usually the common denominator in terms of, your peak athletic ability. But Bo at 35 might be as good as he's ever been. And, you put the football IQ into the competitor that he is with the talent physically that he still has at this age. And other guys have done it at this age as well, whether it's Trevor Harris, who's having a great season. Anthony Calvillo played well into his 30s and early 40s. Damon Allen was there too. Like, these guys, Henry Burris, can play well into their 30s and still be very amazing players. And for Bo Levi, who has, leads the league with 18 touchdowns. He has the fewest interceptions with 3. He's over 2,500 passing yards, number 1 in the Canadian Football League, on a first-place team in the East Division. And not only that, I think, the offensive line has been a big plus. They've only allowed 7 sacks in 8 games. The receivers have been making big catches, whether it's Keandre Smith, especially the last couple games, with 138 yards in each game. Tim White catching everything that's being thrown at him. Kenny Lawler, the first 5-6 games being the explosive, unbelievable force that he is. Bo is the straw that stirs the drink, and he is getting everyone involved. Almost everyone. I mean, I'm sure Shamar Bridges wants a few more catches, but, sometimes that's just the way it goes, and I'm sure his time is going to come. But Bo is so competitive, athletic. He knows this offense now inside and out. Ever since his benching last summer, he has been, bar none, the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League, and that's not even an argument.
What about this receiving core? And I think you get these discussions every beginning of the year when you're trying to compare teams and who's got the best quarterback, who's got the best defense, who's got the best.
It's fun to do.
It is fun to do. I wasn't quite sure. I thought the Ticats receiving core was deep, but I think right now they're the best in the league. And what I think is amazing about it is that you've got guys doing different roles. And for me, what you said about Lawler was, it was unbelievable what he was doing and what he still continues to do, and the fact that teams now are saying, we'll lose as long as that guy doesn't beat us. Yeah. Right?
Which is wild.
Which is wild.
But then again, if they don't double team him like they have the last couple of weeks, they're probably going to lose anyways because he's going to go off. I mean, that's how amazing he has been. But whether it's Lawler getting things done, Tim White is there, Keandre Smith, like that 3-headed monster in the receiving core. And then you add in guys like Bridges, who aren't just doing nothing on the field. I mean, he's blocking, he's getting open, he's creating space, similar to Brandon O'Leary-Orange, similar to Tyler Turdowski when he's on the field, similar to Keaton Brugling, who's, first-year Tiger Cat. All these guys are playing a role in the offense. And, of course, the offensive line and Greg Bell in the backfield, or Johnny Augustine, who's come in as well, or Ante Milanovic-Litre when he's been healthy. Everyone plays a role. You need all 12 guys to do it. And it starts with Bo, and he's getting everyone involved in that.
Does the Ticats running game need to be better?
I would say yes and no. I say no because it hasn't been amazing, and they're still winning ball games. But I think how scarier would this team be if Bell or Augustine or whoever's carrying the rock, it gets into that elite mode. Like Greg Bell certainly has another gear to go. We've seen it. We saw it for portions of last year. And if he gets there, my gosh, what do you do then, right? Because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. You can have Lawler take off the top, Tim White in the intermediate. If you're covering all those guys, you still have Keandre Smith and everybody else. Like, it is opposing defensive coordinators must be pulling their hair out, thinking, what do we do?
What about this defense? For me, it has been really, I'm just comparing to last year.
Yes.
So much more improved. And a lot of the analysts out there thought, I like what I see on offense just based on what we saw from Bo Levi Mitchell last year and the run that the Ticats went on. Yeah. But a lot of people were questioning what the Ticats did in the offseason and free agency with their defense, and a lot of people saying, I think they got a long way to go. Well, I don't think so. They are ballhawks, and it starts with those two corners.
Absolutely. I was one of the people who thought, okay, this is a question mark because we haven't seen it yet, right? And especially going off what we saw last year. especially the first couple of months, where it was a work in progress. There were so many new faces on the defensive side of the ball, which is understandable. It takes time for everyone to get on the same page. And so when they brought in Deshaun Amos, I thought, okay, check mark. He's won a Grey Cup. He's been in the league. He's a stud. He's an all-star. That's going to be good. Reggie Stubblefield, when he hits the field, because he had started on the injured list, rehabbing his ACL, I thought, okay, that's a check mark too. Here's a guy who is a disruptor. He's all over the field. He can get the job done. That's a plus. Then looking at the D-line and guys like Tywan Garbett and Miles Fox and Mario Kendricks, the veteran Casey Sales, bringing back Julian Hauser. I thought, all right, Tid Govaya, you're reaching into the depth department. We got some good pieces there too. And then you add, pieces that were here last year, and Jonathan Moxey and Jamal Peters, the two corners you referenced, with Stavros Katsantonis and I think an up-and-coming star in Destin Talbert. Now you have a defense that has some really cool working parts. They trade, or at least release, the linebacker, and Devin Verasek comes in. Kyle Wilson is the name I'm trying to come up with. And Devin Verasek, the rookie, comes in.
Big move.
Has a great first game and has been, tested the last couple of games. But this defense is much more active, pressuring the quarterback, but not getting to the QB. But then again, no team is getting to the quarterback. Sacks are down across the CFL. But the secondary, I think, is where it's at, because these guys have been leading the league overall interceptions, making tackles for losses, especially when you include Reggie Stubblefield. Very active, great cover guys, physical. They have meshed quickly, and I think that has been one of the biggest differences in this team compared to last year.
I think they lead. I know they lead the league in interception. I think the number is 12. Could you imagine if they could catch?
It'd be a lot higher than that. We'd be in the 20s.
We would be in the 20s. And that's
no disrespect to the guys.
No disrespect. And I'm going to say that as well, too. But there have been so many opportunities. And I'm credited when this is a credit to the way they break on the ball. Their vision, their ability to diagnose a play before it actually happens, to me, is something we have not seen in this town in a long, long time in terms of that defense.
I think there was a question mainly from the fan base, who was, I think, unaware of Brett Monson, the defensive coordinator, because when Chris Jones came in last year, the defense went from B to A, right, or maybe a C to a B. You can argue the fact, but Brett Monson has come in and he wanted to have a very active defense. He wanted to get to the quarterback, be disruptive, put teams in second and long situations, which they've done, especially in the 6-game winning streak. I think we have to give him credit as well for organizing all these interesting players on the field and taking advantage of their strengths and trying to minimize their weaknesses, because every player will have a bit of both. Big kudos to Brett Monson for unlocking the potential of this D.
After what seems to be a wild sort of road trip with a lot of travel, probably their most travel that they will experience this season. The two longest trips are to Edmonton and BC, for those that do not know, which they have, in some cases done on a short time basis, but it even is a shorter week coming from the playing on Saturday and now playing on a Thursday. Thank goodness it's at home, a rematch against the BC Lions. But when we look back to that game against the Lions, that may have been that was epic stuff.
It was. I mean, number one, you're on the road for the second week in a row. You're playing, I think, a pretty good team, even though they're 3-5. They have a perennial all-star quarterback, a really good receiving core, an athletic defense, as we're seeing from Robert Carter.
Crazy play.
His unbelievable reception. I honestly thought it was an incomplete pass when I called the play, and then I thought, oh my gosh, he caught that.
Oh my gosh.
How did that happen? But that was, I don't want to say it's a turning point, but I think it was another notch in the belt that this team proved to itself that no matter the circumstance or where they're at or what the score is, they're able to pull out a W. And, with 4 minutes to go, they're down by 10 points and they end up winning by 4. This team has no, quit is not in their vocabulary. They have the potential to score quickly, as we saw with that Brandon O'Leary-Orange touchdown, and then strike when the opportunity presents itself. And, Mitchell is able to do that. He's got the receivers to do it as well. That game, weeks from now, we're going to probably look at that game and think, wow, that might have been the start of them really believing in themselves that no matter where they are in the game and where they're playing the game, they could win it.
I think this is an unbelievable belief, and we have talked about the belief and that we can do these kind of things. I think about the quarterback, and I know everything is always surrounded with the quarterback, but I've seen it now on at least 3 weeks now where Bo Levi Mitchell and in the NFL, in the National Football League, it's legendary for Dan Marino. It's legendary for John Elway. These fourth quarter comebacks.
Right.
And in a situation where, here you go, 2 minutes remaining, 3 minutes remaining, 1 minute remaining. Here's the ball.
Go do it.
Go do it.
Yeah.
And they're getting it done.
Yeah. Bo is so clutch, as were the other guys that you mentioned. I mean, it's really a stat in the NFL. I don't think they really keep it in the CFL, fourth quarter comebacks, and it's attributed to the quarterback, although, again, it's the whole team that's coming back. But, again, the QB is, distributing the football and making these key plays because it is the hardest position to play in all of sports. And he's getting it done. I mean, he's a maestro back there. He's able to quickly dissect the defense, make all his reads, whether it's the hot route that he's connecting with or just finding the guy who's going to be open in a particular play. Everything is turning up, aces right now for Bo Levi Mitchell and the Ticats. And I'm not saying it's lucky because it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy who is deep into his playbook. They're meeting as a team on a daily basis. He was telling me the other day, the offensive line, Coulter Woodmansey has all the big dudes together at 5 a.m. and they're not practicing until 11. I mean, they're going deep into game film, and not only that, but building camaraderie, earning each other's trust. And I think that at the end of the day is going to translate into championship football.
They're at home right now, and again, we talked about the short week. How difficult is this going to be facing a Lions team that I don't want to say are in a must-win situation because of what we're seeing a little slippage from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah.
Kind of I think I put the BC Lions in that sort of middle ground of the West Division, but they need wins, and they're coming off a bye. I know they have to travel cross country, but everything would tell you that the Lions and what will be Nathan Rourke's first game at Tim Hortons Field. It's unbelievable.
Hard to believe.
Are the Tiger Cats, I don't want to say in trouble, but they are in a challenge with some injuries as well.
Yeah, this is not going to be, no game is easy in the CFL, and this is certainly not going to be an easy one because this is Hamilton's third game in 12 days. I mean, that's a lot of football. 3 and 12 is a lot. And I know the old-timers are going to be like, we played 2 games in like 3 days. And
this wouldn't happen in the NFL.
No, not a chance. No, you play 2 games in maybe 5 days, and then you get a week off, right? Or you get the week off, and then you play 2 and 5. This is going to be a challenge because they're fresh off coming back from Edmonton. So you've had a long trip home. They've had a really scrunch time in terms of practice time. They've had, some injuries in the last game. Devin Verasuk, Gordon White, the long snapper, not going to play. Ternowski got hurt, and who knows what his status is going to be for the game on Thursday night.
He's out.
Okay, so there you go. So, I mean, that's a factor, right? Going into this game is the health of the team. The good news for the Ticats is that they only played BC a couple of weeks ago, right? So the playbook is going to change a little bit in terms of some of the unique plays that they're going to install, but the base offense is there, the defense is there, they know what they're doing. For BC's sense, though, they went into the bye losing to the Ticats. So that mentality of, we got to get them back is going to be there. But again, they haven't played since that, and it was week 8, right? So they've had the bye week, so they're going to be well rested. They're going to be the fresher team basically in the fourth quarter. So if the Ticats can get out to an early lead and kind of weather the storm, I think at the end, because I think BC will be the much fresher team because they've only played 1 game in the last couple of weeks, whereas the Ticats are going to play 3. That might be the key to the success, jumping out early.
Fourth quarter, when those legs get a little heavy and they're a little tired and maybe even mentally a little stressed, that is more incumbent right there for the home crowd to give the home field advantage. And we're hoping that the Ticats crowd that they get into this one too, because I don't know what you're hearing or what you're feeling. I think there was a sort of delay when this win streak started, that they're like, a lot of Ticat fans were kind of feeling this out. But I think everyone's on the bandwagon right now, and it would be great to see a sold-out crowd on Thursday.
Yeah, I hear the crowd is going to be big. which is good, and it should be, because we have to reward this team for what they're doing this season. And I think you're right. At the start of the season, a lot of fans are thinking, okay, well, what do you got here? Because we've been supporting you for eons, and especially at the start of the season, you haven't rewarded us, the fans, with victories, right? At the end of the day, it's an entertainment. It's a business, but it's entertainment as well, and the fans want to be entertained. And I think it was, okay, prove it to me. And the Ticats have certainly done that, right? They have proven to the fans that this team is for real. They're in first place in the East. I think they're a legit Grey Cup contender, probably with Saskatchewan and maybe even Calgary in that boat, and probably Montreal too. And I think a lot of fans are going to come out. I think they're going to be boisterous. They have a couple of other reasons to celebrate as well, which I'm sure we're going to get into. And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, yes, that's right. How could I forget?
And Miles Garrell, right? Like there's going to be a lot going on Thursday at Hamilton Stadium.
Go ahead. Sell it for us.
Well, yeah. If you're unaware, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a pretty good basketball player, and and so Shea Rally Day is from 3 to 4:30 before, obviously, the Ticats and the BC Lions kick off. And this is a chance for all of us in the city of Hamilton and around the GTA. We've been huge fans of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from his Kentucky days to getting into the NBA to now being the regular season MVP, the scoring champion, the NBA Finals MVP, NBA champion, Team Canada, superstar. This guy is unbelievable, and he's only 27, and he's only, I think, going to get better, which is scary. A guy who's averaging 32 points a game in the NBA is only going to get better. But so we're going to celebrate his unbelievable season, maybe the greatest season for a Hamilton athlete in the history of this city.
I don't know if he could have done more.
I don't think so.
Really?
What else? Maybe winning the Olympic gold medal last year might have been it.
Good.
But
that could be it.
That's a tall order, right? That's a tall task for any nation other than the United States. But still, we get to celebrate him. And then at halftime, the legendary Miles Garrell is going to be the 30th player or builder in Tiger Cats history to be added to the Ticats Wall of Honor. A long overdue honor for him.
Absolutely.
One of the greats of all time on the offensive line. A mammoth of a guy, 300-plus games, 19 seasons, didn't miss a game in his last decade of the CFL.
Crazy.
That's insane. And such a great guy, too. So looking forward to that.
Had him on the podcast, and it was
emotional.
You just said it. I couldn't believe the emotion out of him and what this means to him, and to be able to do it with his family. I would think maybe he's a godparent right now. I would think maybe that would have happened by now. And he was just so emotional and so appreciative of the Tiger Cats giving him this honor. And he is a local guy as well too, so he'll have a lot of family and friends there. So just that alone, just anytime, and even just taking the Shea out of it there, anytime we honor the greats of the Tiger Cats, it's a wonderful thing. And you look up and you get down to the field, as we're lucky and fortunate enough to do, and you take a look up and you see those names and you're like, wow.
It's pretty awe-inspiring,
Yeah, they really are.
I'm going to be emceeing the Ticats Wall of Honor dinner tonight. It's at Carmen's, and of course Miles is the person of the night, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of former players that are going to be there. Former, Coach Al will be there as well, just celebrating what was an amazing career.
Bring him a box of Kleenex.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to need it. Yeah,
he's going to need it.
I'm sure he's going to need it.
Hopefully there's no Kleenex at the end of the game on Thursday. Rick Zamperin, the voice of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Again, you can join him and myself on the Ticats Audio Network. All kinds of breakdown here on CHCH as well, too, as we continue to see this, what may be a magical season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Rick, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the next one.
Right on. Hey, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports, especially if it's about the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton Tiger Cats. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline Podcast, do want to hear from you. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have something to say. We always appreciate your comments. For the outstanding people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, Oski Wee Wee, thank you so much, and we'll see you real soon.